Hi, Kevin. I'm good. How are you? Good.
Hey, Kev, I'm here as well. Thanks again. Oh, is that better? I got the laptop practically to my face. All right. I'll try to see if I turn up the. Okay. I appreciate.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Thank you, Kevin.
I'm here. would request that all legislators come to the chambers, and we will get started as soon as we're all here. All right, I call the Rules Committee to order. And we have most of our legislators here, so let's start, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Legislator Rose Walker to lead us today. Should have mentioned this before. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Legislator Bino.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence on the passing of Joycetta Pierce, the director of the Joycetta and Julius African American Museum located in Hempstead. Ms. Pierce, I consider her to be the matriarch of the history of Nassau County and the greater metropolitan area. That museum is one of the only African American museum in the Eastern Seaboard, and she curated art in that space, but more importantly, she gave her full heart to that museum. And so for that, I ask that we stand in a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Rules Committee roll call. Legislator Sela Bino. Legislator Delia DeRiggi-Whitten. Ranking Member Kavan Abrahams.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Vice Chairman Howard Copel. Chairman Richard Nicolello.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. First order of business for the Rules Committee is the contracts. I will now call the contracts all at once. A16, A21, A26, A27, A37, A43. Resolutions authorizing the Commissioner of Shared Services to award and execute purchase orders or blanket purchase orders between the county and Federal, Eastern International, Telerob USA, Leslie Digital Imaging, Tyler Technologies, Intergraph Corporation, and Axon Enterprise. B15, B16, B20, B23, B24. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the county and High Tech Air Conditioning, DP Civil, Pratt Brothers, Inc. E84, 85, 80, I'm sorry, E84, E85, E86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, and 98. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute personal services agreements or amendments to personal services agreements between the county and ShotSpotter, Inc., Camp Dresser, McKee and Smith, Lyro Program, H2M Architects, Gannett Fleming, Cameron Engineering, Leadership Training, Inc., Lockwood Kessler, Lyro Engineers, Cash and Associates, Nelson and Pope, Spectre Group, and Vincent McNamara, as well as American Records Management Systems, Inc. Moved by Legislator DeRidge Whitten, seconded by Legislator, let me make sure somebody's on the committee, Legislator Schaefer. So those items are before us, and while we're doing that, I need a motion to untable a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau and Alliance 1, that is E57. Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell makes a motion to untable, and Legislator Rhodes seconds that. All in favor of untabling that contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that carries unanimously. All right, so let's start off with the police contracts and A16, 2021.
Good afternoon, William Field, Deputy Inspector with the Police Department. The first item is A16-21. This is to authorize and award a purchase order for headsets to the Nassau County Police Department from vendor Federal Eastern International, LLC. The solicitation was advertised in Newsday, posted on the Nassau County Bid Solicitation Board. It was viewed by 30 vendors. 3 bids were received. The maximum amount authorized under this purchase order is $193,015. It's going to be asset forfeiture funded. These headsets will be used by our Bureau of Special Operations and Emergency Services officers for tactical operations.
Any questions? No? Okay, let's go to this next one. This was A21.
A21-21. This is to authorize and award a purchase order for an explosive ordnance disposal robot, or EOD robot, for the Nassau County Police Department. The vendor is Telerob USA. The solicitation was advertised in Newsday and posted on the Nassau County Bid Solicitation Board. 2 bids were received. Telerob USA was awarded it. The maximum amount authorized is $392,937.64. It is also asset forfeiture funded. This robot will replace a robot that we currently have that's at least 15 years old.
Deputy Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Why is there a maximum amount and not a specific amount here?
I believe that's the actual amount that it's going to cost, is $392,000.
Okay, no, because you said it's the maximum amount. Okay. If that's the actual amount, then that's fine.
My understanding is it is the actual amount.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The older robot that the police department currently has, is it's not functioning, or has the technology
The
changed?
technology is advanced. This robot's able to do a lot of other things. It's able to go into confined spaces better. It's able to operate in different conditions better. It also has a longer wireless. It can be wired and wireless for the operators to use to do bomb tech operations.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to the next contract, E37.
Item A-37-21.
A37.
This is to award and authorize and award a purchase order for Hexagon Intergraph computer-aided dispatch between Intergraph Corporation and the Police Department. This program is what we currently use to pull data from our Intergraph CAD system. It creates reports and other dispatch-related information for us. This is a sole source purchase. Hexagon is the creator and owner of the software, which is copyrighted by them. It is proprietary, and it's the only they're the only vendor authorized to provide maintenance and support The maximum amount under this purchase order for the next 12 months is $876,512.76, and that will be from general funds.
Okay. Any questions? Nope. All right. A43?
Item A43-21, this is to authorize and award a purchase order for tasers and accessories for the Nassau County Police Department and probation departments. This is between the police department and Axon Enterprise Incorporated. This is a request for a sole source purchase, as Axon is the manufacturer and distributor of these tasers in New York State. The tasers have the ability to optimize the amount of current that is output and also provide an audible alert and shut off automatically after 5 seconds. The maximum authorized under this contract is $4.6 million, capital funded, and it's for a total term of 5 years and 2 months.
And you said that Axon is the provider within New York State. Are they the sole provider of these?
They're the only vendor that supplies their product, and they provide this product to a very large swath of police departments throughout the country.
Any questions on this item? Okay, I think your last one is E84.
Item E84-21. This is a, excuse me. This is a new contract between ShotSpotter Incorporated and the Police Department for the existing gunshot detection and location system that we currently have. It provides us real-time gunfire analysis and alert services. It's a 5-year contract with a maximum amount of $1,376,519. It'll be paid on an annual basis per the contract's terms. They are a sole source provider as well. No other vendor is capable of providing ongoing maintenance for their patent-protected product and services. Its initial encumbrance is $108,937.
The term is started on August 26th of 2020. What's the reason why it's so late?
It's unfortunately, when we received our quote for the continuing 5-year period, we weren't satisfied with it. Required negotiations, at which point took us until recently before we were satisfied with the quote.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Inspector Field. That's
Thank you very much.
Information Technology, A26. Nope. You have to press the button.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Jacobina, Deputy Commissioner, Information Technology. 826-2021 is for the maintenance, repair, parts, and toner of Sharp brand multifunction printers for various Nassau County agencies. These printers were manufactured in the 2005 to 2011 timeframe, and the warranties have long since expired. The county has 266 Sharp machines in service. Leslie Digital Imaging, LLC, was the low bidder among the 4 bids received.
Any questions? No? I think you also have A27, correct?
Good afternoon, Nancy Stanton, IT Commissioner, A2721. This purchase order is for the ongoing annual maintenance of Tyler Technologies Adapt software. Contract runs from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. This contract is for $635,250 annually. The software is used by Assessment, ARC, Treasury, and the County Attorney's Office.
Why was there the delay in getting this before us?
Multiple reasons. We had a change in staff early on in the year, which caused a delay, and it's always difficult getting these vendors to fill out these disclosure forms and whatnot.
The Tyler Technologies is ongoing vendor for the county, correct?
Correct.
And maybe the process needs to be begun earlier in the year?
We already asked for a quote for next year. The problem is because it starts January 1st, we can't put it in until January 1st. There was a delay this year, but we're going to try harder next year to get it in earlier on.
Okay. Any questions? No? We're good. Thank you. Department of Public Works.
Good afternoon, Ken Arnold, Department of Public Works. B15 is a construction contract for the HVAC and fire alarm improvements for the Highway Patrol building in Belmore. There were 2 bidders, and High Tech was the lowest responsible bidder, which was below the engineer's estimate.
There was a memo, low vendor participation memo, dated December 19, 2019, in which vendors have cited concerns about the amount of time it takes to award a contract after bidding, the amount of time it takes to get paid, and the amount of paperwork required concerning billing. Are you running into that issue with the contracts that you're putting out?
There's some specialty contracts. Mechanical is one of them that we don't have a very small pool of bidders, so we run across this quite a bit. But our civil projects, we're getting plenty of bidders on those projects, and the same thing with wastewater.
All right, so obviously there's a balance to be had. We have to make sure that we exercise our due diligence, but at the same time, we want to make sure our processes are not discouraging vendors and costing county in the money in the process.
Understood. I'm in conversations with procurement and compliance all the time on that.
Okay, all right. So if there's anything that you need us to do to facilitate us, just let us know.
I will.
Anyone else have any questions on this? No? We'll go to B16.
So B16 is another construction contract for HVAC work. This time is at the County Clerk's Record Center that's located at 1194 Prospect. Again, there were 2 bidders, and High Tech was the lowest responsible bidder. The bid was slightly higher than the engineer's estimate.
Any questions?
Next item is B20. B20 is a contract to improve the safety and appearance of Belmore Avenue between Sunrise and Merrick Road. There were 5 bidders, and DP Civil was the lowest responsible bidder. The bid was above the engineer's estimate, but we looked at the bids, and we found that it was an acceptable bid. When you compared to all the bids that we received, they were all high. The MWB participation for this contract is 29%.
Have we done business with DP Civil before?
They won 2 of our GOSA projects, so
Okay.
this is their 3rd project with us.
Is this? I mean, I think the backup had 2 principals to the entity. Is this a large enough concern to do these types of projects for the county?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? No. Okay. Let's go to B23.
So B23 and B24 I'll call together because they're similar.
Right.
They're both contract amendments with Pratt for our requirements contracts associated with road resurfacing and also for our general civil site work. The increase in caps is at $4 million, which is the department will be looking to use this summer and fall as we expand our programs in parks and other locations.
Sure.
Ken, good afternoon. My question to you is one that I'm asking fairly often. Why is this an increased amount instead of a new contract? Why didn't this go out to bid if the contract expired?
The contract did not expire. The contract, we utilized all its capacity in the 1 year that it was lined up for.
That makes sense. Fine.
And then we're looking to increase its capacity because we have ongoing work in many locations.
Right, and it did not make sense to go ahead and put out a bid for $4 million worth of or so of work?
Well, these contracts actually have another year past this year, so this is increasing the cap, and it's...
No, I understand,
yeah.
But in other words, it did not pay to go and find out if you might get a better deal somewhere else at the additional work?
No, we typically don't look to do that on our requirements and on-call. We just look to increase the caps because we already have bid prices that have been competitive.
How old is this contract?
But these contracts are both, they just started their 2nd year of 3.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. You want to do E85 and E89 together?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So E85 and E89 are with Cameron and CDM Engineering. They're both for environmental facilities design on-call contracts. We received a total of 5 bids for this, and we're awarding to all 5 contractors. I believe previous sessions had 1 or 2 in front of you, and we have 1 more to process after today's E85 and E89.
Any questions? No? The next, why don't we do the next several together? It would be E86, E87, E88, E90, and E92.
Okay, yes?
They're all on call construction management.
Yes.
Correct.
So similar to the design, these are for environmental on-call construction management. These are with Lero, H2M, Gannett Fleming, Cameron, and Lockwood Kessler Bartlett. We're selecting a total of 8 of the 13 firms that submitted, and these are 5 of the 8 highest selected firms.
Do we need that many firms to be on call for construction management services?
We typically don't look to award that many, but they came in technically equal, and we thought it was advantageous to award multiples and to hold multiple interviews to distinguish why we may drop 1 or 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. It gives the Department of Public Works the opportunity or the option of selecting any one of these on this list who will qualify.
Yes. Yeah, we debate that quite a bit, where to draw the line. In this case, we felt it was just easy to accept the top 8.
All right. Any questions on these? Nope.
Okay, and the last collection, which is E93, 94, 95, and 96, are our building design on-call contracts. We had a total of 12 submittals, and these are 4 of the 5 selected firms. These firms are Lero, Cashin, Nelson & Pope, and Spector Group.
Notwithstanding that you're using multiple firms and bringing multiple firms for these purposes on, the budget for these firms doesn't change, right? It's not costing the county any additional monies by having
No.
8 or 10 or 6 or 5.
No, we set the capacity, and this has been an ongoing conversation with the Inspector General's office on what the capacity and how we set the capacity for these contracts. But I believe in the building ones, either set $1 million apiece. We don't encumber anything until we actually award a task order.
Okay. Any questions? Nope. All right. Thank you, Ken. Department of Probation, E91, leadership training.
Good afternoon, Joe Shalero, Fiscal Officer, Nassau County Department of Probation. This is an amendment to extend the term of the original contract with Leadership Training period, Inc. for the period October 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2020 for an additional 4 years, terminating on September 30th, 2024, exercising the 4 one-year renewal options of the original agreement contingent upon grant funding for the Nassau County Reentry Task Force. The grant award for the program was received on November 24th, 2020, and the supplemental was subsequently submitted to be heard on January 25th, 2021. There were coding corrections on the ordinance that delayed the posting of the supplemental until March of 21, at which point processing of the amendment was initiated. The contract is funded by New York State to provide case management and the operation of programs to reduce recidivism, assist offenders with reintegration into the community and their families, and provide them with the opportunity to become responsible, productive residents. The goal of the program is to ensure a smooth transition to individuals returning to Nassau County following incarceration.
Thank you. Any questions? I think we're good. Thank you. County Attorney, E97, with the Law Office of Vincent D. McNamara.
Good
Go
afternoon,
ahead.
legislators. Brian Libby from County Attorney's Office.
Thanks.
This is a contract with the law offices of Vincent McNamara for a case called Ralha. This is a very complex construction and labor law case, and that firm has been retained for that. If you have any questions, happy to answer the same.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Nope. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Social Services, E98, American Record Management Systems, Inc.
Lorraine Baum from Department of Social Services.
Okay. Let's tell us about this contract.
This is a contract to continue paying a vendor for the paper storage that they provide. They pick up documents at DSS they store our documents, and they also shred the documents when we notify them that the retention schedule has reached its final time period.
Okay, Deputy President Coppell.
Sorry. I see that this contract is rather old. It was back in 14, was it?
Yes, the last time that it was
And it was
RFP.
extended a number of times.
No, it was a 5-year contract.
5-year contract.
It was a 5-year contract, and then we're asking for payment, two amendments.
This is my
I know.
my usual question. You know what the question is,
Yeah,
right?
so we're ready. We've done a lot of work, Legislator Coppell. So I'm here with Sharon Lucidi, who's the Director of Our Office Services, and
I've got another question. I might as well just
Yeah.
ask it right out at the outset, which is why records are not being, are records now being digitized rather than storing them? It seems like
right.
a more sensible way to go.
Right, so we have been moving toward that. In order to have 100% only electronic retention, you have to have clearance in your county, and any government agency has to, by Department of Education. So there has to be a certain level of backup for our electronic record storage, and we're working to meet those that threshold with Department of Education. So we're working with Nassau County IT is checking on that. And as soon as we have that clearance from DOE, then we can do what you're saying, which would be scan and shred.
When do you anticipate?
Within really weeks. We're talking all the time. We're meeting and getting this set up.
So then, how long is this extension?
Well, this is for 2 years, and then we're putting out an RFP. But we have 71,000 boxes there. This is
Got it.
You know, it's
Can't
going
do that in a week, right?
Right, and the retention schedules in each of those boxes vary. It's a very time-intensive process to pull the boxes back and shred. Even if we were to stop sending boxes tomorrow, we would still need to contract as we get to the schedules, because those, even though we scanned, they were not at the DOE level, so you needed the paper backup. We're going to change that at DSS for our main program areas. And we're committed to doing this. We're very excited about doing it, and we've started. Sharon, you want to talk about some of the shredding you've done already?
We've recently identified probably about 500 cartons in the hot pot facility that can be shred. We've gone through the process of identifying what's in them, comparing it to the LGS1 retention schedule, and getting the sign-off on the various departments that own those boxes so that we can start to shred them. We've also started the process of cleaning up our internal facilities so that we have some more room inside to store boxes, so we can send less, because there are items that are not imaged, fiscal boxes that are a set retention schedule, HR boxes that
How old are these records?
Some of them are pretty old.
And well, let's go to the other end. How new are some of them?
Some of them are very new. We're continually sending boxes over to storage.
So in other words, even the new ones you can't yet digitize. You don't have that permission.
Not everything can be digitized, or is it cost effective to digitize everything? Certain items are a 5, 6, 7-year retention, and the cost of storage of the boxes is more feasible than paying someone to image them and then you're...
No, I'm sorry, but in other words, brand new records, you wouldn't pay to digitize them as you go?
Which, I'm sorry.
On any new records, wouldn't it be...
Client records, yes.
So,
okay,
Legislator Coppell, we really do want to get to a point where we're sending 0 boxes as quickly as possible to HOPOG. So we want that to be, because we have storage on site in DSS for what the item Sharon's talking about, as well as possible a little bit of storage in Nassau County. So we do want to just stop sending at all to that site.
And going back to the initial question, why the extension?
So the extension is that they gave us services for all of 2020, and we haven't been able to pay them, and we haven't been able to pay them into 2021. So the boxes are there, And we can only destroy that paper on schedule, so it's going to be a few years. We're doing an RFP. Currently, we're going to put the RFP out for another 5-year contract.
So you've been very well prepared. Thank you. No, seriously, you've anticipated the questions. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? No. All set. Thank you. And then we have the one item that was tabled, that was untabled, which is with TIPFA, E57, Alliance 1 receivables.
Good afternoon, David Rich from the Traffic and Parking Violations Agency. This is a proposed contract for 5 years for one of 2 primary collection vendors for TIPA. They collect on outstanding fines and fees that are due the agency.
Okay. So this had come before us a couple of weeks ago. I believe there was, Inspector General had some additional work to do, and that was completed.
That's correct.
Do we have any questions on Alliance 1? No? Well, thank you. All right, so now I'm going to call for a vote. I'm pulling one contract out, E95 will be called separately, and I'm going to call for a vote on the rest, which includes... Actually, Inspector Field, are you still here? I think we had an additional question with respect to the tasers. Accent Enterprises.
Inspector Field, Police Department.
Thank you. I was actually approached by a police officer because the question came up as to how often our police are trained on the use of tasers. Do you happen to have that answer?
Well, everyone gets trained when we get the tasers originally. So when I first was given the taser, it was 5 years ago, I guess. But then we also have training. When they go to the range, their tasers are usually inspected as to, I'm not 100% sure how, I can get you that answer.
If you could, I don't want to hold up the contract, but so what you're saying is everyone is trained when they get the taser. Is that like right after the academy, or?
It's whenever you were issued the taser. So it could have been right after the academy. Could have been when you were promoted, possibly. It depends.
Is there any follow-up with the training after that, or not that you know of, or you could just get us that information?
I'll give you an update on what exactly we do when they go back to the range.
And you know, if you don't mind, along those lines, if you could just give us an update as to how many times you have to go to the range to be recertified.
Well, to go to the range, we always have to go a minimum of every year.
Every year. Okay.
A minimum to go to the firearms range.
Okay.
Every police officer has to go. It's contractual. They have to go every calendar year.
Okay. That I wasn't sure of. Okay, good. Yeah. So that's good. And then, you know, I guess what's on my mind is that horrible accident that happened with the wrong, you know, reaching for the wrong weapon, I guess you could say. So.
I could say from personal experience, the original taser training is very in-depth and intense when it comes to how we draw our holsters, how we have it set up on our belts, things like that. I believe it's at least 8 hours.
Okay, that's good
just
to hear.
Just the taser.
Okay, so again, I mean, I don't know if this is the right form, but I was just wondering if the police feel that they might benefit from a follow-up after 5 years or something, just to, I understand, you know, it's such a stressful time if you're going to take out the taser or your gun, so just to have the more training, you know, the better, maybe, but,
no,
I
totally agree. We do some things. I just want to make sure I don't misspeak as to what's
I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you weren't prepared to speak on that, but I do think it's something that maybe we should follow up with, just to see if more funding has to be available for more training or whatever the case may be.
I'll,
So,
I'll have you an answer today.
thank you.
I think all of us would be interested in those.
Yeah,
in
of
those
course, it goes to all legislators.
Understood.
Just a quick question: the tasers, are they? What? How are they? Going to Legislator Reggie Whitten's point about that incident, are the tasers different in weight or color or anything else?
Absolutely. So there's several safety mechanisms in place to make sure that the taser is not confused with your firearm. One of the measures is that it's cross draw. We do a cross draw, so you actually don't remove the taser the same way you would remove your firearm. Your firearm's typically removed. Your firearm's typically on your strong hand side, whereas your taser would be on your weak hand side. So when you access your taser, you actually pull it out a totally different way, and it's on the other side of your body, whereas your muscle memory for training for your firearm is always on your strong arm side. The taser is also much different in weight, at least by feel. I can't give you the exact amount, but just in feel. The holster, the actual, the color is bright yellow, and so you'll see the change. When you turn it on, a laser is shown, so you can actually see when you actually turn it on. And also, the handle grip is a totally different feel than that of a firearm. Not only is it a different shape, it's also a different material. It's made of a hard plastic as opposed to your firearm, which is metal.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions for this? Legislator Schaefer.
Since you're answering questions on that, are there different models, though, or different, styles of them throughout the country, so that one might feel a little bit more like?
We use the Taser XP26. That's what we've used since 2013. There are other models out there with varying differences, but that's what we've used and trained on since then. Okay. It's also what we're most comfortable basically training our members with. That's what our staff is experts in showing the members.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you again. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm not going to call E95 separately. It's going to be part of all the contracts being called right now. A16, A21, A37, A43, E84, A26, A27, B15, B16, B20, B23, B24, E85, E89, E86, E87, E88, E90, E92, E93, E94, E95, E96, E91, E97, E98, and E57. Any further debate or discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They carry unanimously. We're going to put the Rules Committee in recess for the other committees. Thank you.
I'd ask the members of the Public Safety Committee to please take their seats. I'll take care of it. I got it. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. I'll call the roll. Deborah Muley.
Here.
Sheila Bino. Ranking Member Delia Dirigi-Witten. Legislator John Ferretti. Vincent Muscarella.
Here.
I am here as Vice Chairman. And Denise Ford, our chairperson.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. There are 7 items on our main agenda today, and we have 1 item on addendum, which are clerk item numbers 177-21, 184-21, 195-21, 196-21, 198-21, 199-21, and 205-21. First item on our agenda is clerk item number 17721, which is a local law to amend the miscellaneous laws of Nassau County in relation to the imposition of a public safety and driver responsibility fee for violations issued pursuant to Title 86 thereof. May I have a motion? Motion by Legislator Ferretti, seconded by Legislator Dirigi-Witten. The item is now before us. This is a majority-sponsored item. Clerk item number 177-21 is a proposed local law that prohibits Nassau County from imposing its existing public safety fee, which is $55, and driver responsibility fee, which is $45, on tickets that are issued pursuant to the county's demonstration program, which imposes monetary liability on owners of vehicles that illegally pass a school bus while its stop arm is deployed and equipped with recording equipment that captures vehicles engaging in such legal activity. The rationale behind this is that the penalties themselves that have been imposed for this violation are $250 for a first violation, $275 for a second violation committed within 18 months of the first, and $300 for violations committed within 18 months of the first violation, and are already a deterrent for drivers to stop at school buses when the stop arm is deployed. And for this demonstration program, we believe that an additional $100 fee, which would be the $55 public safety fee and the $45 driver responsibility fee, would be excessive and unnecessary. Of course, the safety of children in Nassau County is our top priority, which is why the legislature approved the program that allows school districts to install cameras on school bus stop arms. However, this interest of the legislature is sufficiently met by the existing high penalties. Is there any debate or discussion? Is there any public comment? We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of clerk item 177-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The item is agreed to and passes on to rules. Next on our agenda is clerk item 184-21. 184-21 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the police department. And do we have someone here from the police department? Oh, I apologize. moved by Legislator Ferretti and seconded by Legislator Bino. That item is now before us. And now do we have someone from the Police Department?
Good afternoon, William Field, Deputy Inspector from the Police Department.
Deputy Inspector, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 184-21. 184. Item 184-21 is a supplemental appropriation from the 2021 Surveillance Apprehension Vehicle Enforcement Program grant. It's the SAVE grant in short. It appropriates $145,869,000. This program is used to enhance law enforcement efforts and assigns police officers and detectives on the basis, on an overtime basis, to identify and arrest persons wanted for vehicle crime, vehicle theft, and vehicle insurance fraud. And that's all I have.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the legislators? Legislator Durgee Whitten.
Thank you. How do you determine where you're going to be allocating these resources?
So the money is allocated, so the funds come in, we then distribute the funds to the officers or detectives that are most, that are best for, that we think will best promote the efficiency and effectiveness of the grant, I guess is the best way of doing it.
So do you have like a particular part of Nassau County that you're going to be focusing on, or like how do you decide what areas to focus on?
We'll generally put it toward wherever, I guess, some of our investigations and intelligence leads us to, in order to best use the resources. This grant also allows for, there is some equipment allowed in the grant as well, so it's not all overtime, but it is a far majority of overtime.
Okay. No, I was just wondering because I know like different areas have, I know Seacliff has a problem with, people just trying the door and opening up, I just didn't know if you have any way of determining what are the hot spots for this type of
I mean, that's always how we generally try to allocate our resources, is to intelligence-led policing, to direct them to locations that we feel will help deter and stop the crime, and for this specific one, auto crime and insurance fraud, things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from legislators? And Deputy Inspector, this is the amount of the grant is, we have it as $145,869, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry if I misspoke. That's correct.
Not a problem. All right, is there any debate or discussion? Is there any public comment? All those in favor of item 184-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The item is agreed to and referred to Finance. Next item on the agenda is clerk item 195-21, which is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of Emergency Management. I have a motion by Legislator Muley, seconded by Legislator Muscarella. That item is now before us, and do we have someone here from the Office of Emergency Management?
Thomas Delaney, Emergency Management.
Mr. Delaney, welcome.
Thank you. This is a $50,000 supplemental appropriation. The funding comes from New York State, passed through FEMA. New York State takes 25% of the Homeland Security grant funds and has set aside money for their own administrative and other purposes. Of that, they create targeted grants. This is one of them. So the cybersecurity grant is aimed at exactly that, helping to promote cybersecurity within our jurisdictions.
And do we have any questions from legislators? No questions? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any debate or discussion? Is there any public comment? All those in favor of clerk item 195-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The item is agreed to and is referred to Finance. Clerk item number 196-21 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of Emergency Management. We have a motion by Legislator Durgee Whitten, seconded by Legislator Ferretti. And Mr. Delaney, if you could speak on this item as well.
This is also a targeted grant under the same theme I just described. It's for $75,000. This one is going to target our Nassau County Fire Service technical rescue teams that exist within our fire service. It's going to provide training for them and some equipment purchases.
And how's the training going to be done?
We're going to contract with VEEB for specialized classes in structural collapse rescue.
Thank you. Any other questions from legislators? Is there any debate or discussion? Any public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of item 196-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That item is agreed to and referred to Finance. Thank you, Mr. Delaney.
Thank you.
Next, we have clerk item number 198-21, which is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Fire Commission. And we have a motion by Chairwoman Denise Ford, seconded by Legislator Muley. That item is now before us. And do we have someone here from the Fire Commission?
Good afternoon. Bodon Pilzak, Division Supervisor from the Fire Marshal's Office.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
This item before you is for the appropriation of New York State targeted hazmat grants to our office, the Nassau County Fire Service, and the Police Department. It's $94,000, which will go towards equipment and training to enhance our capabilities in the region.
And do we have any questions from legislators? Legislator Bynum.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So some of this funding goes toward like air quality testing as well when you talk about hazmat?
So some of this funding will be put towards specialized meters that we can use for air quality testing and metering at a variety of different scenes.
Okay, because that was quite a concern when we had the Jamaica ash fire.
Yes,
in that
and
area?
some of the equipment that was used at the Jamaica ash fire was purchased with grant funds from previous years.
Okay.
So this will supplement that equipment as well.
Okay, and at that type of scene, are there multiple air quality control mechanisms in the area, or is it just one, or?
So depending on the scene, like that one in question, we have a hazmat team that goes out and we will deploy our equipment, our meters throughout the area. We'll make sure that we set up a perimeter and check the surrounding areas as well during the entire scene, and then at the conclusion of the scene, make sure everything's safe before we leave.
Thank you. And it's only at that point, if the meter reads positive, that we would engage with the state or?
Well, if the meter reads positive, we would ourselves here in Nassau County do something to attempt to mitigate that situation. It could be anything from shelter in place to evacuation notices to potentially, if we have the ability, we'll try to stop the problem ourselves.
Okay. Thank you for all that you did during that emergency. I was in contact with your department, and it was very much appreciated, and I think we were able to kind of help some of the residents feel a lot more comfortable. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Bynum. Any other questions from legislators? Any debate or discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of clerk item number 198-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The item is agreed to and referred to Finance. Clerk item number 199-21 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of the Medical Examiner. And we have a motion by Legislator DeRigi Whitten, seconded by Chairwoman Ford. That item is now before us, and do we have someone from the Office of Medical Examiner?
Hi, good afternoon. Karen Doing, Crime Laboratory.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
This is a New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services grant. It is for the AIDS Crime Labs program. It's in the amount of $504,885. It is a no-match program. It supports our accreditation program. We purchase supplies, equipment, calibrations for laboratory instrumentation, and a small amount of overtime.
Do we have any questions from legislators? Legislator DeRigi Whitten.
How is the lab coming along? Like, what percentage of capacity, or how much work are you doing inside now, in-house?
The lab is coming along very nicely. It's hard to realize with the bail reform where we'll be at because COVID kind of slowed things down. But we seem to be keeping up with the work right now. And at the end of this year, we should be putting in an application for accreditation for our firearms discipline, which is very
Okay.
exciting.
Good news. Thank you.
Any other questions from legislators? Any debate or discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of clerk item number 199-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Okay, the item is agreed to and referred to finance. Finally, on the main agenda, we have clerk item number 205-21, which is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the office of the district attorney. We have a motion by Mr. Muscarella, seconded by Mr. Ferretti. That item is now before us, and do we have someone here from the DA's office?
Yes, Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office.
Welcome, Mr. McManus.
Thank you. Item 205-21 is a supplemental appropriation for the Aid to Prosecution Grant Program. The District Attorney's Office has been the recipient of this grant for over 20 years. Grant funding is used to support the prosecution of repeat violent offenders and serious felony offenders as defined by Penal Law 70 by maintaining a staff of highly experienced prosecutors who focus on such cases in order to achieve convictions and maximum sentences.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from legislators? Seeing none, do we have any debate or discussion? Any public comment? I will move to a vote. All those in favor of clerk item number 205-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. And clerk item number 205-21 is agreed to and referred to finance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McManus. And we'll move on to the addendum. We have two items on the addendum, clerk item number 212-21 and 215-21. We'll tackle 212 first. That is a local law to amend. We'll entertain a motion to. Thank you very much, by the way. We'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules. We have a motion by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Ferretti. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The rules are suspended. So now, we have clerk item number 212-21, which is a local law to amend Title 86 of the Miscellaneous Laws of Nassau County, as added by local law 19-2019 in relation to changing to 60 days the period that a written warning will be issued in lieu of a notice of liability following commencement of the school bus photo violation demonstration program. We have a motion by Legislator Ferretti, seconded by Legislator Muley, and that item is now before us. We have someone here from the administration to speak on the item.
David Rich, Traffic Parking Violations Agency. The
Mr.
local
Rich,
law,
welcome.
I'm sorry.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The local law would change from 30 days to 60 days the public education period at the beginning of the operation of the county school bus photo violation monitoring program.
Just one question. Is there a reason why we cannot extend that further than 60 days?
Katie Horst from the administration. Are you asking legally if we can extend it past 60 days?
Well, yeah, I mean, the question is, we've picked the 60-day window. Is there a particular rationale behind the 60 days, or is there a reason why we couldn't extend it further?
I think we were being consistent with what Suffolk did in their program, rolling it out, which was a 60-day period. That doesn't mean that we can't go beyond those 60 days if we find that it's warranted, but they had just entered they're finding, when we put this before you, or when we put the contract before you, they were just starting to issue violations.
Okay, and again, just if you can refresh my recollection, when do we plan on having our program implemented?
Well, we were hoping for September, but the contract is still with you, so we're not sure we're able to make that September date. It's with the IG.
Right, so it's not, I mean, it is with us, but we're waiting on the IG's report.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Just to clarify. So now we're looking at, even assuming that it was September, we're looking at an actual date of November or December at the earliest, that even if we were able to go into the warning program before anyone would receive a ticket of consequence.
Correct.
Do we have any questions from legislators? Legislator Ferretti.
Hi, Mr. Rich, and hi, Katie. I kind of had this question last time, but I don't think there was really an answer at that time, and I think we're still going to look into it. Assuming that a district does not opt in right off the bat, if they choose to opt in down the road, whether it be 2-3 months after the program is enacted, would this 60-day grace period apply to that district?
Legally, yes. Operationally, not yet. The vendor still has, they're looking into doing enhancements so that way they could have districts that may share the same bus opt in at different times. Right now, it's not technologically feasible, but they do know that's one of our high priority enhancements.
Now, when you say legally, yes, are you saying that this bill would require a 60-day grace period for any district that opts in even after the enactment of the program?
Yes, we think that feasibly it would be able to do the 60 days per school district.
All right. So just for clarity, because I want to make sure we're completely on the same page. If District Y opts in from the beginning, but then District X says, well, we don't want to start September of 2021. We want to start in January of 2022. District X, who starts in January of 22, would get 60 days from January of 2022 for the grace period, and then sometime in March, the actual fees would hit. That's basically.
We're still trying. The technology's not there for that yet, so but we're still looking to be able to do that. Yes.
I guess then if the technology is not there, how will we be sure it will be there? If the bill requires that, how are we ensured that we'll be able to roll out this program in accordance with this bill if the technology is not there?
Our goal is to have every school district on board when we roll this out.
That's great. I mean, I support this bill and I support the program, so I hope so too. But I've also had discussions with some school districts in my district, and they're not on board with it. So at least not now. So
and we haven't engaged more than the survey. We have not engaged or started negotiating with these districts, with the school districts, to put the cameras on their buses and get their bus contract vendors on board either. Those are all discussions that have to take place once the contract is approved.
I understand, but I go back to my question of if that's what this requires, it requires a 60-day grace period from when the actual district opts in, which I think we're on the same page, that's how it should be. If the technology isn't there, how do you do that?
I'll have to get back to you. I don't know. I don't know if what you're saying is exactly what the law as written is saying. I think it might be gray in that area.
Okay, is that the intent of the administration, though, for that to be the case, where 60 days grace period for the district as of when it opts in?
I believe so, yes.
All right, but we're not sure if that's what is written in the bill, though.
I didn't draft the
No, I
legislation,
understand.
so
So you're okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's my interpretation.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from legislators? Any debate or discussion? Any legislator Ferretti?
So I'm going to support this here in the committees, but these are definitely answers specifically that question. I would like an answer before we vote on the full legislature.
Any other debate or discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of clerk item number 212-21, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The item is agreed to and is referred to finance. We move on to clerk item number 215-21, which is a resolution approving an amendment via memorandum of understanding to the collective bargaining agreement between the County of Nassau and the Nassau County Police Benevolent Association. We have a motion by legislator Bino, seconded by legislator Muscarella. That item is now before us, and do we have someone here from the administration?
Yes, good afternoon. Deputy County Executive Tatum Fox.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Ford, Vice Chairman Rhodes, and fellow legislators. Item number 215-21 is a memorandum of agreement between the county and the PBA related to the county's implementation of the body-worn camera program. In line with the pattern established in the agreement with the SOA, each active PBA member shall receive $3,000 annually over 26 pay periods. The PBA has agreed to withdraw the pending PERB action. County anticipates commencing the program this fall on or about September 30th, with full implementation by December 31st, 2021. Currently, there are approximately 1,700 police officers on board and approximately 350 SOA members. Any questions?
Yes, I've got a couple. Now, am I correct in my understanding that the reason that we had the memorandum of understanding is because this had to be negotiated through collective bargaining?
The stipend had to be negotiated, but not the actual program itself.
Okay. So, with respect to the body camera program, the memorandum of understanding is rather simple with respect to the stipend. However, with respect to police reform, obviously the rules regarding the implementation of the body camera program were a lot more extensive.
Absolutely, and we, the department and the administration, are working with the unions and the police department's meeting. They're having stakeholder meetings, so there's a lot of input from everyone involved on the implementation.
On the stipend end, then, the stipend would only begin when the program is actually implemented, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when would we expect receiving the rules on how the body camera program is actually going to run?
I'm actually going to turn the microphone over to First Deputy Commissioner Kevin Smith.
Sure, thank you. Deputy Commissioner, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. Kevin Smith, Deputy Police Commissioner. So in regards to your question, basically we are in a draft form of having the protocols for the use of the body-worn camera. All right, it's gone through several drafts already. We've been using Mike Balboni's firm as well to see different policies around the country, IACP, as well as New York City. I don't think our policy will be much of a departure from New York City, other than the way that we have different policing styles in that they use a turnout version, we use a turnout in the street type of version when we change shifts. So I think a lot of it will be the same. I don't think it will be very complicated, and as I said, it's in draft form now, with revisions probably taking place every other week until we get the product that we want.
And when ultimately there's a policy that's put in place, will that be subject to legislative review? How would it actually be implemented?
Well, we'd be happy to share it with the legislature. Policies and procedures don't go to the legislature for approval.
And with respect to those policies and procedures, is there any opportunity for public input or no?
Well, those are the meetings that the police department will be having. We have the advisor, right? Michael Balboni is the advisor, and that's his task, is to get community input, public input, district attorney input, department input.
Well, you would reference stakeholder input, and
Yes.
I just wanted to see, and that's how it's being done?
Yes, sir.
Through Michael Balboni's firm? Okay. And do we know how many of those meetings have been scheduled?
I don't, as I stand here, but we can definitely get you that schedule.
Okay.
Or-
Thank you.
Yes,
I
and
appreciate it.
Commissioner Smith can add to that, too.
So I had a discussion with Mike Balboni today in that we were talking about the policy. And the other thing that we were talking about is bringing information to the public about what we're going to do and having stakeholder meetings. He is embarking right now on probably our pilot, if you will probably take place in the 8th precinct. And what he's going to do is contact community leaders in the 8th and let them know how we are going to roll out this program and ask for comments and concerns that they might have about that program, which of course might cause us to take different veins in terms of the draft itself.
And of course, some of the, Deputy Commissioner Smith, of course, some of the items that are going to be covered as part of that policy would be when those cameras are actually activated.
That's correct.
Does the officer have control of the camera?
The officer does. The officer has the ability to turn it on and turn it off, and we'll have to go through a training period, all right, to let him know. I'm not sure how lengthy the training block will be at this point, but he will go through all of the protocols that we put in place and be trained when to put it on, when to turn it off, under what circumstances it's essential, under what circumstances if something were to go wrong, how he reports that, and a slew of other items as well.
Okay, so they'll be training on, for example, dealing with children in a domestic incident, whether
Absolutely.
or not that camera would be operated.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and again, is that that's all subject to those stakeholder meetings as well? They'll be
That will play a part in it. Right now, we have, I think, a pretty extensive draft, but that certainly will play a part in it. If adjustments need to be done, we'll take that into consideration.
Okay, I appreciate your answers. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Thank you, Deputy County Executive Fox. Are there questions? Other questions from legislators? Legislator Bynell.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rhodes. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, Deputy Commissioner, did you say that the pilot would be in the 8th precinct?
We're looking at the 8th precinct right now for a variety of reasons. There are, it's pretty much a precinct that calls for service or kind of moderate. I would say it's not a lot or it's not too many. The close proximity to our Fleet Service Bureau plays a part in that if equipment needs to be installed, all right, in the cars, all right, it's closer, the venue is closer to have that done, and it could probably be done during working hours of Fleet Service. So there's a variety of reasons that we're looking at. The manpower in the 8th precinct is about 17 cars during the day, 18 at night. We want to get a moderate look at how the system's going to work and get out all the kinks in that precinct before we move it along to the other precincts.
That's interesting because I believe the litigation that was birthed out of the PBA was based on pilots that would have run in, I think it was the 1st, the 4th, maybe the 3rd, and some other precincts. So I just find it odd that we would be going to the 8th precinct.
Well, I can't speak to that. I can only really just tell you what I told you in terms of how we looked at it, how we assessed that precinct as being probably the optimal place to start.
Okay, and I'm not actually asking you to speak on it. I'm just registering my concern that we're starting at the 8th precinct as opposed to the precincts that were earlier identified as pilots under the previous administration. So I'd like to maybe ask a couple of questions about, or just ask an open question regarding what are the outstanding issues related to rolling out this body-worn camera program.
Okay. Well, in terms of the camera itself, I don't think it's a hard sell to get someone to wear the cameras. That's first of all. What we've seen around the nation is that there's a training curve. There's going to be a training curve, and putting them on, putting them off, it's muscle memory, just like going for a taser or going for your weapon. It's going to take the officers getting used to the fact that they're going to have to hit something in probably the middle mass of their body to turn it on, and then to turn it off at the appropriate moments as well, and not have it constantly running. If we have it constantly running, the battery life will be compromised severely. But there's more to it. There's hardware, there's training, there's procedures, there's protocols, and that's only one step. After that, there's getting it up to the cloud, all right, for storage purposes. There's vehicle equipment that has to be installed if we determine that we're going to use certain items in a vehicle. There's station house prep as well. There's going to be programs that will have to be put into computers so that officers can see the fruits of their labor, their video, all right, to enhance their investigations and items like that. All right, so there's multiple things. There's ancillary services that will take place also in having the firms themselves, like Island Tech, which is going to be helping us. They'll be connecting and installing to our systems. They'll be consulting for us. They'll help with setups. They'll be training our trainers how to use the cameras, all right, and so we get to the point where we can have our own officers teach officers how to use the camera under what circumstances, under what protocols, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot to it. There's also kind of what I've been calling kind of a back room, but it's our intel service where all that video is going to feed into. And that video will be placed in an area so that it can be looked at, all right, to be able to be delivered to court, to an attorney general, for other investigations, et cetera, for the other purposes that we might need video.
Okay, and so you mentioned equipment in the vehicle. Are we talking about dash cams, or are we talking about hardware?
No one has ever talked about dash cams with this program. We've always talked about the body-worn camera, the camera that will sit in the center mass of an officer on his person.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Just give me a second, okay?
I'm waiting.
I was going to ask another part to that question. So I was asking whether we were talking about cameras in the vehicle, or are we talking about hardware that is going to have to interface with the body-worn camera?
So as we go along in this process, we're learning what we can use and what we can't use. There may be just a simple wire connection to that camera to keep the battery fresh and to keep it charged, or we might decide to go with a kind of a hardwired battery charger as well. So there are different things that we're looking at as we go along in the process. We're deciding kind of what we need and what we can do without. Right now, when it comes to the wiring system and keeping the battery fresh, we are giving each officer basically his own camera. They're going to get a take-home battery charging unit, which also has the battery. The camera itself has an internal camera and battery, but it also has an external battery. So if that battery starts to lose life, you can attach an external battery, which will give the camera new life and keep it fresh for hopefully the entire 12 hours plus of their tour.
So while it's sitting on their body, in the event that it starts to run low, there's an attachment that they can...
Much the way you charge your cable, your iPhone, there'll be a similar wire that does that into the car.
Okay. And then you talked about uploading the information, that they capture on the camera to a cloud. That's something that the officer would be required to push up to the cloud?
That's correct. So that officer will be required to do it, but right now he'll probably be required to do it at a station house or a facility otherwise designated where there will be the proper equipment for him to do that.
Okay, and so I suspect like the time frame to which one would have to upload this information into the cloud, or the time, the requirement for them to charge this device at home. Those are some of the things that are like being discussed in impact negotiations. Is that correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to understand what would be negotiated in terms of impacts to the officer, in terms of their responsibilities for wearing this camera. I'm trying to understand what are those outstanding items that are currently being addressed.
My understanding is that their responsibility will be to wear the camera. Their responsibility will be to take the camera home with them, since it's a personal issued camera, and have it charged and ready to go, both the camera itself and the external battery that can be attached later on if needed. It will be their responsibility to come to work with those batteries charged at the beginning of their tour.
And I suspect it also is when they can turn the camera on and off. So that has to be some of the discussions that's happening at the impact negotiation table. Maybe Tatum can better answer some of those questions that I'm asking?
Yes to all of your questions. Those would be the discussions that deal with impact.
Okay, so what are the other items that are bubbling up at that table that would...
I have not been there yet since the agreement was just signed. It's been... I can let you know, but you pretty much hit the ones that I would identify as well as things that would be brought up.
Because earlier on there was a question about the program having to be negotiated versus the fee being negotiated, but all of these items have to be negotiated.
For impact, yes.
For impact?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a part of the program that has to be negotiated.
But you can still, one caveat is you can still implement while you're having those impact negotiations. They run parallel.
Okay, very good. And I had a question in the item. I just wanted to get an idea of what would be extenuating circumstances when an officer would not be wearing the camera, therefore not earning the $3,000.
And the most obvious to me would be if you were suspended.
Or out sick for any length of time, or administrative leave or?
Administrative leave, and if you're line of duty, that might be different because this 207C, there's no diminution of your salary if you're a line of duty injury. So that's an example of where they may still receive it.
So there shouldn't be any extenuating circumstances when an officer is fully deployed and
That's right.
able-bodied?
That's absolutely right.
So that's only, so at some point, I guess we should clarify that in a later document that would be a part of, I guess, the full negotiated package, that it's really related to health or status, work status, correct?
That's right.
All right, thank you. And then we're going to have additional personnel as it relates to this program, and if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm just asking if either one of you could
Yes,
shed
I'll
some
turn
light
that
on
to
that.
Commissioner Smith, but there will be a body camera unit.
So the body camera unit would be part of our Intel Bureau. It will have 4 sergeants who will supervise the unit. My understanding is that now we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 or 14 Intel analysts that will be hired to work with the program.
Okay. And they'll be working, I guess, directly also with the courts as this is evidence?
Well, that's correct. They will prep video, make it ready for subpoena purposes or anything else that's needed, FOIL requests, and working with the district attorney's office, attorney general, whoever might that be.
Okay. All right, thank you for your time.
Very welcome.
I appreciate it.
Any other questions from legislators? I do have 1 or 2 follow-ups. Just so I'm clear on my understanding now, there will be a portion of this that comes back to the legislature for a supplemental memorandum of understanding then? Because I was under the initial impression, based upon the first response, that the item would simply be implemented, but that's apparently not accurate, right?
So impacts negotiations, and that's what is the confusion. It has the word negotiation, so in your mind you automatically think a contract. That's just the labor law term. It's discussions. So it's discussing the policy at the table with the impacted employee, but it doesn't result in an MOA like this.
Okay, so there will not be any further changes to your knowledge with respect to the memorandum of understanding?
Correct.
Okay. And we know that the cameras have been purchased at this point, but will we be receiving a contract? I imagine we'll be receiving a contract for video storage, software, tech support.
So I asked Robert Cleary from procurement. He drafted, if you don't mind, I'll just read the procurement.
Sure.
Following a request for expression of interest, the Nassau County Police Department identified GTAC as a qualified manufacturer to offer the county body-worn cameras and related goods and services. GTAC is included on the New York State Office of General Services Manufacturer Technology umbrella contract. That contract allows for a competitive solicitation of a manufacturer's listed goods and services among a number of authorized distributors. The Office of Purchasing, Nassau County, issued a mini bid to 7 authorized distributors of GTAC, plus the manufacturer itself, for the purchase of a comprehensive cloud-based body-worn camera program, including all goods and services required by the police department. The county reviewed 2 responses to the mini bid. Island Tech, the distributor offering the lowest cost proposal, met with Nassau County PD representatives to demonstrate its products. Following discussion and demonstration, the police department authorized award of the mini bid to Island Tech through purchasing. So there's a purchase order off of a state contract.
Okay.
So that does not require ledge approval because it's OGS.
Okay. And
That's a simple answer. I read you the full
That's for
answer.
both the cameras then, as well as the tech support and storage?
Correct.
Okay, so it's GTech, it's a sort of a one-stop shop?
Correct.
For lack of a better word? Okay.
Distributed by Island Tech.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions from legislators? Any debate or discussion? Any public comment? All right. Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of clerk item number 215-21, please signify so by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The item is agreed to, and it's referred to Finance. There being no further business before the committee, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by
So moved.
Motion by Legislator Ford, seconded by Legislator Muscarella. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify so by saying aye. Those opposed say nay.
Aye.
And we stand adjourned. Planning is the next committee.
This time I'll call the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee to order, and I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Planning, Development, and the Environment Committee roll call. Legislator Carrier Solage.
Here.
Legislator Sheila Bino. Ranking Member Arnold Drucker. Legislator Denise Ford.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Vice Chairman Thomas McKevitt. Thank you. Chairwoman Laura Schaefer.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, there's one item on the agenda today. It's clerk item number 169-21. And this item is an ordinance making certain determinations pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and authorizing the county executive of the County of Nassau to accept on behalf of the County of Nassau an offer of purchase from Dengo Incorporated of certain premises located in the Uniondale, County of Nassau, State of New York. Said property to be subdivided and sold, known as Section 44, Block F, parts of lots 400 and 417, formerly known as Section 44, Block F, part of Lot 408 on the land and tax map of the County of Nassau, and authorizing the county executive to execute a contract of sale, deed, and all pertinent documents in connection therewith to consummate the sale. May I have a motion, please? So moved by Legislator McKevitt, seconded by Legislator Bino. All in. Okay. This item is before us. Hi, Mr. Walsh.
Good afternoon, legislators. Kevin Walsh from the Office of Real Estate Services. This is a sale of county-owned land, property the county acquired from the Navy in 2011 as part of the larger Mitchell Field portfolio, which includes much of the housing in the area. This is kind of a little bit off the beaten track. This property sort of to the west of the housing area and just to the east of the Commercial Avenue offices. It's abandoned structures that were used by the Navy for storage and water well equipment. So they've been they're hard to call buildings. There may be 3,000 of old vehicle kind of storage structures and storage buildings. We issued an RFP. We only got one response. The challenge for development of this property, which the land is only about a third of an acre, is there's significant infrastructure, county water mains, hydrants, and sewer infrastructure directly under this property. So it's probably not possible to build any kind of foundation on this property. The intended use, I believe, of this buyer is for just vehicle storage. He also, as part of his proposal, I guess he's run a towing business in this area. I believe he's offered, with the veterans community being to the east, not too far away, to do, free jumps for the veterans and active military in the community. We're going to get a purchase price of $180,000 for this property, which does exceed the appraised market value.
Okay, thank you very much. Any legislators with questions? Legislator McKevitt.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, actually, I tried looking through the appraisal, and fortunately, a lot of the pictures were black and white and hard to read, so I tried finding this property over the weekend. I think I found it. Would this be the portion, it's like towards the northwest portion along the old railroad tracks in back of where the post office entrance is back there?
That's it. That's the privacy. I was going to describe it's kind of near the tracks, kind of behind the post office. You're in the right area.
I found the buildings. Yes, they're all like, brick, but like there's no windows in them. They're pretty dilapidated back there. So yes.
Yes. In fact, the way this property came to my attention, believe it or not, was from the fire department locally and the police department, I guess, because it's been vacant. It's been kind of an attractive nuisance.
I see. And the other question I had with this is that, I know when the county acquired most of the Mitchell Field in the mid-1960s, there were a lot of restrictive covenants on what they can do with it at that point. But since this was part of the 2011 portfolio, are there any covenants or restrictions prohibiting us reselling the property?
No, there's no restrictions. I mean, there are things of record. The buyer has done a title search, which shows, most of the restrictions overall the property deal with things you would normally see with properties. You're buying it as is where is. There may be things like lead paint and asbestos, those kind of things.
Right. But no requirement that be used either for government use or parkland or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Legislator Rhodes?
So I know with respect to the Mitchell Field property that that sometimes there are restrictions that run with the land with respect to our ability to transfer it. Do any of those such covenants run with this particular parcel?
I'd have to look at the title search. There's nothing that restricts it, to my knowledge. When the Mitchell Field property did come to us, by fee simple absolute. We did get deeds. We've recorded for all the property. Anything of record, would have to be on the buyer to look at. There's nothing that restricts us from selling that.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Legislator Drucker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kevin, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Legislator.
So our backup states that the purchaser is expected to clean up dead tree limbs and branches, and donate 200 cubic yards of mulch for the veterans housing community on a needed basis, provide free battery boost for all veterans and active military living in the community, and install new and attractive signage for the entrance to the Mitchell Field veteran housing community. These obligations are identified in our staff and our backup summaries, but they're not included in the contract of sale. What assurances do we have that the purchaser will provide these additional benefits in the future?
Well, these were things he's actually operated in the area. Mr. Lindeman, who operates this company for quite a while, and I think when he made his proposal, I wouldn't say they were obligations that necessarily run with the land, like we're talking about restrictions. These are things that he recognizes that even though he's not in the housing community, he is in the vicinity of the community that is served by our veterans and active military. And it's an unsightly property now if you went by it, and the intention is to beautify a landscape and to be a good neighbor. So hopefully, obviously, he could sell as well. Let's hope. My belief is that will be what he will do. That's his intention. And he's operated in that community as a business since we've acquired that property since about 2011.
So that it's fair to say that there is no contractual obligation.
I would say that's correct. Not a legal obligation.
So we're relying upon faith that he'll do these things. I mean, I understand it's dilapidated and run down, and undoubtedly it will be cleaned up, but, the additional things that will enhance or help the veterans housing community are certainly worthwhile and beneficial to them, and I would like to make sure that the buyer continues with his post-closing obligations to do that.
Well, the ordinance is final, but we could probably work something into the agreement.
If you could, I think on behalf of all
I agree.
of us, we'd like to see that, put in writing somehow, just so there's some memorialization of this, of these obligations. It's not just, promises, empty promises.
That's fair. We can speak to the council on that. I think that would be acceptable.
Thank you very much. I have nothing further. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legislator Bino.
I don't want to beat a dead horse to death, but Mr. Walsh?
Good afternoon, Legislator.
Good afternoon. Could that be inserted into the agreement and then presented back to this full body?
We'll be back at full edge for a vote.
Edge with
so
that
we
inserted.
definitely, by the time we're back here in 2 weeks, we'll have something.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Great. Any other legislators have any comments or discussion? Okay. Is there any comment from the public? There being none, all those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no other business in front of this committee. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Legislator McKevitt, seconded by Legislator Drucker. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We are now adjourned. Okay. Towns and villages is next.
At this time, I'd like to call the Towns, Villages, and Cities Committee to order. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. Town Villages, roll call. Legislator Delia Dirigi-Witten. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum.
Here.
Ranking Member Joshua Lafazan.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Vincent Muscarella. Legislator Muscarella.
I'm here.
Thank you. Legislator James Kennedy. Vice Chairman Laura Schaefer. Chairman C. William Gaylor III. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. So there's one item on the agenda today, which is clerk item number 190-21. Clerk 190-21 is an ordinance to implement the Local Government Assistance Program in Nassau County. May I have a motion? Okay, moved by Legislator Muscarella, seconded by Legislator Lafazan. Thank you. The item is before us. Do we have somebody from the administration?
Good afternoon, Andy Persick, Office of Management and Budget. This is the annual renewal of the legislation for the Local Government Assistance Awards to both towns and villages. We're still waiting for census data, but to be prudent, we're trying to get the money out to the towns first. The village numbers may change slightly based on when we get the census data, which is being delayed. So,
all right. Is there a means for you to amend this if the 2020 census data comes in before the end of the year?
we will be back to you because the village's rates are set at a fixed amount that we have to come back to you and tell you that the numbers might have changed slightly. So, but to be prudent to the towns, we pay them quarterly.
Right.
The village payment is made once, so what we're going to do is true it up at with the fourth payment once we have the census data.
So, and that one-time payment to the villages, that'll come after December 31st?
Once the census data comes out, we will get the payment. We'll come back to you and amend what the village piece is. This way we can get the payments out to the towns first.
So we don't forecast a number to the village until we know for sure, because I don't want to say we forecast a higher number, it changes with the census, and then you got to come back and ask them for a refund.
We're not planning on paying the villages as of yet.
Gotcha.
That's the reason, because the towns, at least I have a clawback on it.
Mm-hmm.
With the villages, it's a set amount. It's not based on like a percentage. So.
Okay, understood. All right. Do we have any other debate or discussion? Legislator Birnbaum?
I just have a question, Mr. Perchik. Could you tell us how COVID impacted the amounts that we have to pay out this year versus last year or the year before?
These are set amount. The village piece is a set amount. But it's a function of sales tax, and that's So if sales tax goes up, they get more. If sales tax goes down, they get. And it's just it's a proportional ratio of what
right.
it is.
So how would you say the 21 numbers were compared to the 20 numbers?
They're higher than last year.
Do you know by what percent?
I don't have the percentage off the top of my head.
Any other legislators? Any public comment? Okay, all those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. There being no other business before the committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Legislator Dirigi-Witten and seconded by Laura Schaefer, Legislator Schaefer. Thank you. There being no other business before the committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? Did I already get that? did that already. Sorry about that. The committee's now adjourned. Great. I'll be followed by health.
At this time, I'll call the Health and Social Services Committee to order, and I'll ask the clerk to take the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Health and Social Service Committee roll call. Legislator Josh Lafazan.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker. Legislator Drucker. Okay. Ranking Member Delia Dirigi-Whitten. Legislator C. William Gaylord III.
Present.
Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Chairman James Kennedy. Chairwoman Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. And Legislator Drucker is here.
Thank you.
There is one item on the agenda today, which is Clerk Item 197-21. Clerk Item 197-21 is an ordinance supplemental to the appropriation ordinance connection with the Health Department. May I have a motion, please? By Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Drucker. So the item is before us, and we have Ms. Mary Ellen Lorraine here.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item 197-21 is a supplemental appropriation. It's in the amount of $634,982. This is for our Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant. This is federal pass-through money, which is administered by New York State Department of Health. This allows our department to train and prepare for public health emergencies.
Okay, which I'm sure you had a tremendous lot of quick training to prepare for this pandemic that we've all had to deal with. And again, it gives me the opportunity to thank you and the entire department for all that you have done.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Is there any other, any legislators have any comments or concerns? Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of passing this item, please say aye. Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. There is no other business before this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
By Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Dirigi-Whitten. All in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, and the committee is now adjourned, and next is Finance, I believe. Oh, Veterans Affairs.
Roll call, Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee roll call. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum. Legislator Birnbaum? We'll come back. Oh. Legislator Birnbaum, are you here? All right. Legislator Delia Dirigi-Whitten. Ranking Member Deborah Muley.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Legislator Rosemarie Walker. Vice Chairman C. William Gaylord III.
Present.
And Chairman John Ferretti. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. There's one item on the agenda today, which is Clerk Item number 192-21. Clerk Item 192-21 is a resolution to provide for the payment of the salary or other compensation of public officers or employees for any and all periods of absence while utilizing healthcare-related services related to duty in combat theater or combat zone operations pursuant to New York State Military Law, Section 242. May I have a motion? Moved by Legislator Gaylor, seconded by Legislator Birnbaum. The item is before us. New York State allows municipalities to provide up to 5 days of salary or other compensation per year to their veteran officers or employees who use healthcare services that are related to duty in combat theater or combat zone of operations. To implement this benefit, this legislature, pursuant to state law, must adopt a resolution which is before the Veterans Committee at this time. Nassau's officers and employees who are combat theater veterans and combat zone of operation veterans serve their county proudly and now are dedicated public servants. It's within the best interest of Nassau government and residents that we provide paid time for these officers and employees to address their health care needs related to duty in combat theater or combat zone of operations. It's the very least we can do for this brave group. Legislator Gaylor, I think you have some comments on this?
Yeah, thank you. I know this is a good piece of legislation. I'm glad that the county is taking advantage of, that we're taking advantage of implementing what the state allows us to do. The nature of a veteran service, or the service that our military in general faces is particularly high-risk, dangerous occupation in a combat theater, meaning, they're fighting an enemy. So, they're exposed to combat, they're firing their weapons, they're witnessing injury and death. There are airborne operations and other operations that are going on, and in general, many studies show that the incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder is anywhere from 2 to 6 times higher than the general population. So I'm glad to be here today, and we're I'm sure unanimously going to pass this and move this legislation forward. So thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Legislator Gaylor. Do we have any further debate or discussion? Okay, any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. There's no other business in front of this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Muley. All in favor? Aye. Committee is now adjourned. Finance is next.
Members of the Finance Committee, please join. Everyone here, okay. Mr. Pulitzer, would you be so kind?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Legislator Joshua Lafazan.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker. Ranking Member Ellen Birnbaum.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
I think Legislator Schaefer is substituting for her.
Filling in for Ms. Walker is Legislator Laura Schaefer. No, we'll come back to that. Legislator Thomas McKevitt.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chairman Vincent Mascarella.
Here.
And Legislator Laura Schaefer. Thank you, Legislator. Chairman Howard Copel.
And I am here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Before we start, I'm going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules. And that motion is made by Ms. Schaefer and seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended. Okay, now we're just going to deal first with several items that have gone through previous committees. Questions have been asked, they've been passed through, and we're going to bulk them up and consider them together. Those items will be item number 169, 184, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 205, and let's see, on the addendum, no, we don't have one on the addendum. Okay, all those in favor of those items, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. Oh, we don't have a motion. Motion on those items is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Mr. Drucker. All those in favor of all those items, please say aye. Any opposed? The items pass unanimously. Thank you. Number 177 is an item to amend the miscellaneous laws in regard to imposition of a public safety fee and driver responsibility fee for violations. That motion is made by, let's see, Mr. Mascarella, seconded by Mr. Lafazan. And Ellen? Ms. Bruno? Yep.
No, I'm in support of this, and I feel that when there's a public safety issue, we're charging the public just for the public safety issue. But I know a few years back, this legislative body did add on an administrative fee when it came to the red light cameras. And at that time, I was opposed for the same reasons, that I don't think that drivers need to pay an extra public safety fee of $55 and a responsibility fee of $45. So I am glad that today we have an opportunity to do the right thing when it comes to the safety involving school buses and cars behaving when the arm goes down on a school bus. But I still am not happy that we have the extra fees tacked on to the red light cameras. And I'm sorry that this body passed that.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of this item, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is passed unanimously. Thank you. Number 185 is supplemental to the Board of Elections, supplemental appropriation for the Board of Elections. That motion is made by Ms. Schaefer, seconded by Ms. Birnbaum.
Good afternoon, Larry Nadelka from the Board of Elections. This is a $483,090.01 grant we're getting from the State Board of Elections for cybersecurity remediation. It's a reimbursable grant.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of number 185, please say aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. Thank you. Number 186 is to adopt the Nassau County budget for the community college for the fiscal year commencing September 1, 2021 and ending August 31st, 2022. That item, the motion on that is made by Mr. Mascarella and seconded by Mr. Drucker. Is there anybody here for the college?
Yes. Good afternoon. Legislature. Mr. William, President of Nassau College. I'm joined by Vice President Izquierdo, Vice President of Finance, and Vice President Adrian Kerrigan, Vice President of Institutional Advancement. I'd like to thank the legislature for their continued support of the college throughout the years. We also appreciate the opportunity we had to meet with members of each caucus over the past few weeks, as well as respond to any follow-up questions that you might have had. We are excited to present a budget today. You have seen it. You are aware, and I just want to share there are no student tuition and fee increases, as we are diligently working to meet the needs of county residents who have been so adversely economically impacted by COVID-19. And it also, the document that you have in front of you, seen, includes several points regarding the college's plan for the future. So I'm hopeful that you all have the slide deck. It represents information that we have presented in the past. We are more than happy to answer any questions and or receive any comments from the legislature. And again, we're very much appreciative of your continued support and looking forward to that.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay. Yes, and we appreciate having received all that information in advance. We've all had a chance to peruse it. Are there any questions from legislators? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of this item, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. Thank you. Number 191 is authorizing the county to file an application for federal assistance with U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And a motion on that is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. Kevin Crean, Nassau County Office of Community Development. As the item said, item 19121 is the annual action plan submitted by the Office of Community Development to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The plan is the second year in our 5-year consolidated plan, and it includes funding under 3 federal programs funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. These are the block grant program at roughly $14.1 million, the the Home Investment Partnerships program, $2.4 million, the Emergency Solutions Grants program at $1.2 million. The Office of Community Development held 2 public hearings in the establishment of the plan on January 21st and on May 19th. We also held a 30-day public comment period on the draft plan, which ran from May 7th through June 7th. And the funding under each of the different programs is categorized and itemized in the package that should be before you. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, and I thank you for your attention to the item.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
That item is unanimous. Thank you. Andy, would you be on the next bunch? Transfers of appropriations? Would that be you? No. Okay. 200 is a transfer of appropriations. Katie, would that be all the same person? Okay. All right. Motion on item 200 is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Mr. Drucker. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Inspector?
Good afternoon, William Field, Deputy Inspector with the Police Department. Item 200-21 is a request for a budget transfer. The Police Department would like to transfer $2,397 coming from the AA, BB, and DD lines to the AA line. This is for the Arson Bomb Squad 2017 grant. The transfer funding is needed due to a decreased fringe rate, which would allow us to maximize our funds for maximum reimbursement for the county.
Thank you. Any questions? Do you have any other items?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All those in favor of item 200, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. Thank you. Number 201 is another transfer of appropriations. Motion by Ms. Schaefer, seconded by Ms. Birnbaum.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item 201-221 is a board transfer. It's in the amount of $150. This is a New York State funded program. There's no impact on the budget as it's to maximize grant reimbursement.
Right. Have you any other items?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Item 202.
Item
sorry.
202, first of all, and how many, which are the other items?
I have 202 and 203.
All right, 202 and 203 are both transfers of appropriations. Motion is made by Mr. McKevitt on those two items, seconded by Mr. Drucker. Yeah, why don't you tell us about the others?
202.
And 203, yes.
Yeah, 202-21 is a board transfer. It's for $2,033. Again, this is a New York State grant-funded program, so there's no impact on the budget. It's necessary to maximize grant reimbursement. Item 203-21 is a transfer for $3,040. This is also a New York State Department of Health grant-funded program, so there's no impact on the budget, and it's necessary for grant reimbursement.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on 201, 202, or 203? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Items are unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 206 is another transfer of appropriations. That motion is made by Mr. Muscarella, seconded by Mr. Lafazan. Go ahead, please.
Kenita Pettis, Office of Housing.
Soy Ziegler, Office of Housing.
This item before you is grant money from New York State. We're just asking for transfer from the DD line to the BB line for equipment. We need to purchase 2 copy machines. At this time, we have 0.
Okay. You're working without copy machines?
Yes. It just happened.
You got stencils or...
Yeah, we're making do.
Carbon paper?
But the machines that we have in the office are over 16 years old.
Yeah, those things don't last very long, do they? No. Okay. All right, any questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of this item, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Do you have any other items?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
207 is a grant agreement with Department of Parks. That motion is made by Ms. Birnbaum, seconded by Mr. Muscarella.
Victoria Queso, Department of Parks. So 20721 is a hotel motel tax agreement with the Firefighters Museum and Education Center for ongoing operating expenses, particularly in the amount of $75,000. This one goes towards allowing free access to the museum for students with special needs.
Okay, numbers 208 and 209 are yours, 210, I think,
And 211.
All right, so I'm going to call them and stick around. 208, 209, 210, and 211 are also grant agreements between the Department of Parks and Agricultural and, let's see, and the Garden City Historical Society. A motion is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Mr. Drucker. Why don't you tell us about the other ones as well, please?
Sure. So 208 is a grant agreement with the Friends of Cedarmere for their ongoing operation and program support at Cedarmere in the amount of $95,000. 209 is a grant with the Garden City Historical Society for the renovation of their museum in the amount of $22,000. 210 and 211 are both with the Agricultural Society in connection to the Long Island Fair, which will be September 3rd, 4th, and 5th of this year. 210 is in the amount of $50,000, and it is for securing and scheduling performers, shows, petting zoo, entertainment. And then 211 is in the amount of $98,200 for the promotion, the administration, the management, sponsorship, and other professional services that would be needed to put on the fair.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, all those in favor of items 27, 208, 209, 210, and 211, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Those items are unanimous. Thank you. Now on to the addendum. 212 is a local law to amend certain miscellaneous laws in relation to changing to 60 days, a period that a written warning will be issued in lieu of a notice of liability following commencement of the school bus photo violation demonstration program. And that motion is made by Mr. Muscarella, seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. Anyone? Okay. We have someone. Good.
Good afternoon. David Rich, Nassau County Traffic and Parking Violations Agency. The local law would change from 30 days to 60 days, the public education period at the beginning of the operation of the county's school bus photo violation monitoring program.
Okay, that's a good one. Any questions? Okay, then all those in favor of number 212, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. I'm going to just jump over to 213 for the moment. 214 is an ordinance for capital expenditure and authorizing $284,976,622 of bonds. And motion for that will be made by Ms. Schaefer, seconded by Mr. Lafazan. Ken?
Good afternoon, Ken Arnold, Public Works. Item 214, as you stated, is the bond ordinance associated with the 2021 capital program. It's for $248 million general purpose bonds and $36.8 million for stormwater and sewer bonding. It'll be used to finance the upcoming contracts.
Right. Any questions on that item? All right. All those in favor of that item of 214, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. Thank you. 215 is an amendment via memorandum of understanding of the collective bargaining agreement between Nassau and the Nassau County Police Benevolent Association. Motion is made by Ms. Schaefer, seconded by Mr. McKevitt. Ms. Fox, how are you?
Good afternoon, Chairman Coppell, Vice Chairman Muscarella, and fellow legislators. Item number 21521 is a memorandum of agreement between the county and the PBA related to the county's implementation of the body-worn camera program. In line with the pattern established in the agreement with the SOA, each active PBA member shall receive $3,000 annually over 26 pay periods. The PBA has agreed to withdraw the pending PERB action. The county anticipates commencing this program this fall on or about September 30th, with full implementation by the end of the year, December 31st, 2021. Currently, there are approximately 1,700 police officers on board and approximately 350 SOA members on board.
Okay. Any questions on this item? All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, that item is unanimous. Thank you. We have a motion to untable number 100 of 21, which is a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle claims with the parties set forth in the action entitled Matter of the Application for Judicial Dissolution of Friends for Long Island's Heritage. And that motion to untable is made by Ms. Birnbaum, seconded by Mr. McKevitt. And now, on the item, all those in favor of untabling, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is untabled. Now, on the item is moved by Ms. Birnbaum and seconded by Ms. Schaefer. Please.
Good afternoon, Presiding Officer Coppell and legislators. I'm Laurel Kretzing, Deputy County Attorney from the County Attorney's Office. We are proposing to settle this action for $400,000, which will quiet title to all pieces in the collections of the county's various museums that were alleged to be procured by friends, and If you have any specific questions about the agreement, I'm happy to take questions in executive session.
Okay, we're going to have a motion. I'm going to take a motion for executive session on that, and that motion is made by Mr. McKevitt and seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. All those in favor of going into executive session, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We're in executive session, so why don't you please join us in that room over here? Thank you. Yes?
You want me to come back rather
Would
than...
you please?
Sure.
Thank you. And the rules members of rules who are not on this committee are also invited. Okay, we're back. And we're finished with our executive session. Therefore, all those in favor of the settlement described in item number 100, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is approved unanimously. Now, coming back to our last item is number 213, which is supplemental to the annual appropriations ordinance. We're going to, we're planning on come on up, Andy. We're planning on holding a hearing on this. We don't have the precise time and date yet. So what we propose to do is to pass this item through on the understanding that we will have a more extensive hearing, which will include the entire legislature. I'm sure other people will have questions on that. We will ask perhaps a few just preliminary things, but then we'll pass it through. This item, the motion on this item is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. Okay, so Andy, couple things that I would like to know, and to the extent that you know, you can tell us, and otherwise we'll have it at the hearing, and some others may have a few questions as well. First of all, we had a press announcement of $375 going to certain individuals, certain homeowners. It was announced a while ago, and it was going to cost $100 million of these funds, of the funds that are available. Is that still out there, and why haven't we gotten it yet?
It's still alive. We're still working out some wrinkles. I don't think there's been a final piece to the plan, but I think we should probably table that for the hearing too. But
right.
there are some things that we're still working on to get that program out.
Okay. All right. I'd like to know just a few things. Are these going to, the items that are out there, are these going to be permanent type programs? In other words, what I mean is that you're adding money which would entail adding personnel, I assume, in certain cases. And will this continue from year to year?
With this, you're talking about this plan here with the 62?
Well, many of the items. And again,
yeah.
I'm just asking in a general sense.
Our plan is not to, most of the staffing that will be seasonal or temporary staffing, because as the money goes away, so does the funding with it. So this initial plan has about $500,000 for seasonal and temporary staffs, just to...
So it's not contemplated that'll be, this will be a new baseline level of funding?
No.
All right. We're going to probably want to talk about the federal guidelines and how you see it, how you see that, well, how the administration sees that the various programs fit within those guidelines. Some are probably easier to understand than others. Some of them on the surface don't seem, at least to my eye, to fit within it. We'd like the county attorney to be available with a legal opinion, and perhaps the county attorney might send it to us in advance. That would be very useful.
We can get that to you, legislator. We did vet this through them, you know what I mean? But as far as the details of what the guidance says, we'll have somebody up here for the hearing.
One item, another thing that I'd like to know is the administration of these the various programs. In other words, how would it be determined exactly who gets the money? Will individual contracts come before us? We'd like to know things like that. What if you have too many applications for the same money? How do you determine who gets what? In other words, basically the allocation of funds. I guess those are the preliminary questions that I would have, and I expect to see addressed in the hearing. You look like you want to tell me something.
No. You're commenting. I'm not. I was going to say something, but I'm just going to, no.
All right. Okay. Anyone else want to throw their 2 cents in right now? No. Okay, then. Yes, Ms. Birnbaum.
Okay, so we received an allocation of the different programs, correct, from you? So basically, it won't change between now and the hearing. This is what we have?
What we have in front of you, if we had to change it or amend it, would have to come back to you as a substitution item, so that's what would have to occur, so,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah, no, because I see it's divided between so many different,
It's a bunch of different programs that, you know,
Programs.
have a lot of, I will say, many facets to this program that probably need a little further explanation by all the parties here, so.
so will there be different people coming here to describe the program?
We will come up with a team who will be representing on this thing, so.
All right, thank you.
So I'm sure you're disappointed that we're not going to beat you up twice, just once, right?
Yes?
I mean, we could always, decide to go ahead and do it now if you'd like as well. Okay. All those in favor of passing this item through for the hearing, purposes of holding the hearing, and then we'll have a vote later with the full ledge, please so indicate by saying aye. Are there any opposed? All right, the item passes unanimously. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
There being no further business before this committee, we have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Muscarella, seconded by Mr. Drucker. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Next, I guess we're back to rules.
Okay, we're going to call the Rules Committee back into session, I guess. We have a consent calendar involving items that went through committees earlier. Before we do the consent calendar, we need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Legislator Reggie Whitten, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of suspending the rules, signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Rules are suspended. So the consent calendar, consisting of items that just went through committees, include the following: 169 in 2021, 177, 184, 185, 186, 190, 191, 192, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200, 201, 202, 203, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, on the addendum 212, 213, 214, and 215. Moved by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. Any debated discussion? All in favor of those items signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They all carry unanimously. Now let's do items 181 and 183. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to an intermunicipal agreement with the Incorporated Village of Farmingdale in relation to park improvements throughout the Village of Farmingdale, and a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement between the County of Nassau and the Town of Oyster Bay in relation to the refueling of patrol units at various Town of Oyster Bay facilities. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Minority Leader Abrahams. Any debate or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. Okay, the next two we're going to take together are 193 and 194. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute intermunicipal agreements with the Farmingdale Union Free School District to purchase and install new playground equipment, and with the Great Neck Public School District in relation to a project to procure and install playground equipment for the district. Motion by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator DeRiggi Whitten. Any debate or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They carry unanimously. 204 of 2021 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Island Park Public Library to purchase and install audio induction loop system. Moved by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Legislator DeRidge Whitten. Any debate or discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They carry. That carries unanimously. Item 100 on the addendum, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle claims with the parties as set forth in the action entitled Matter of the Application for Judicial Dissolution for Friends of Long Island's Heritage. That is moved by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. Any debate or discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. 216 of 2021 is a resolution to accept a gift offered by the Hewlett-Woodmere Public Schools Endowment Fund to the Nassau County Department of Parks, Recreation, and Museums. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator DeRidge Whitten.
Victoria Queso, Department of Parks. So this is a resolution to accept the donation of a meditative reflection garden at Grant Park in Hewlett, and to rename the garden the Kelly A. Tinez Meditative Reflection Garden. The Hewlett-Woodmere Public Schools Endowment Fund successfully fundraised between $25,000 and $30,000 to cover all of the expenses related to the installation. The resolution will also allow the county, so it'll allow the county to accept the gift and will also rename the garden.
Okay, excellent. Any debate or discussion or questions? Thank you. That's good. Item 71 on the second addendum is an ordinance making certain determinations pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and authorizing the county executive on behalf of the county to execute a lease agreement between the county and New York Youth Sports Network. That's motion by, but we didn't? Okay. Let me finish calling this and we'll vote on this one. That's motion by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. With respect to the last item, which you didn't vote on, all in favor of 216 of 2021, signify by saying aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we're item 71 of 2021 is before us.
Good afternoon, Brian Schneider, Deputy County Executive. Clerk item 71-21 is a lease agreement with the New York Youth Sports Network for the rehabilitation of the Navy Gym property adjoining the Mitchell Field Veterans Housing Community in Uniondale. This agreement allows for the construction, development, operation, and maintenance of a recreation and education facility with other amenities, accommodating a wide range of sports, recreation, exhibition, wellness, public interest, and community events consistent with the interests of the surrounding community and for the public recreational benefit of all county residents, with a focus on enhancing recreational and educational opportunities for disadvantaged youth. Smith & DeGroat, who's the county's land manager, advertised an RFP on December 19th, 2019 in Newsday on the county's e-procurement website, Smith & DeGroat's athletic business website, on Facebook, and also through the Office of Minority Affairs. There were 490 potential proposers who were notified. 31 viewed the RFP, 22 opened the document and downloaded the RFP itself. 3 proposals were reviewed and evaluated, and the review committee requested best and final offers, which were requested and received on June 19th of 2020. After complete evaluation, the review committee recommended award to the New York Youth Sports Network. Both the OSPAC and Planning Commission reviewed and approved this lease agreement, and here are the highlights of this lease. The vendor will spend at least $1.75 million in capital improvements, including upgrading the existing Navy gym, which includes the failing HVAC systems, construction of 2 new Butler-type buildings housing 2 new basketball courts with wood floors, scoreboards, accessory areas for stretching and warm-up, a food concession area, classroom space for studying, bleachers for game viewing, and a lobby area with a waiting area for teams and spectators. The second Butler building will house a synthetic turf playing area, which is 75 by 30 yards long and wide, also with spectator viewing and waiting areas. The New York Youth Sports Network will pay the county a yearly rental of the facility of $100,000 per year, which will increase at year 4 to increasing to 1.5% at year 4 and 3% at year 11. The term of this lease is 15 years with an option to extend an additional 5. The vendor will pay all utilities, repairs, maintenance, and capital improvements at the premises over the term of the lease. The vendor has already entered into an agreement with Nassau Community College to utilize a large parking area immediately adjacent to the gym, which has always been a problem in that location. The Navy Gym will also serve as the hub of the National AAU, which is the Amateur Athletic Union Urban Initiative, which reaches children in underserved and minority communities through sports and development relationships between law enforcement and the community, which promotes physical, mental, and moral development of amateur athletes. All Nassau County children, including Mitchell Field resident children, will be able to use the Navy Gym or other authorized spaces at no cost for pickup games and other athletic events after school between the hours of 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. weekdays during the school year. The vendor will also conduct 6 free clinics each year to area residents covering a variety of sports. The vendor will reach out to local schools, sports, and other organizations to publicize these clinics. In addition, all Mitchell Field residents may use the gym free of charge Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Mitchell Field resident children 16 years or younger may participate in all in-house leagues free of any and all registration fees. Mitchell Field resident children 14 years or younger can attend any one-week summer camp free of any and all registration fees. In addition, resident children from Mitchell Field who participate in an in-house league will also be considered for scholarship awards. And finally, Mitchell Field residents will be able to be provided at least 3 part-time employment opportunities at the Navy Gym. In addition, the county will be able to conduct programs and events at the premises, and there are additional provisions to share profits from advertising sponsorships throughout the term of the lease. The county is really excited to enter into this lease agreement with the New York Youth Sports Network to bring forth much-needed improvement and expansion of the recreational and educational opportunities for our youth. We have found that this vendor is a New York not-for-profit corporation, is well qualified to develop, facilitate, improve, and enhance the public use of the premises and provide community services to benefit residents of the county, and we are recommending the approval of the long-term lease of the premises.
Thank you for that comprehensive overview, Brian. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any questions among the legislators? No, I think we're good.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. Any public comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn. Legislator Rhodes? Second by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Those opposed? We're adjourned.